In 10 minutes I will try to summarize where we are with the ICTY, Tribunal for former Yugoslavia. Those who are not too familiar with this tribunal, conflict from Yugoslavia in the 90s, where Yugoslavia fought in part where there have been several conflicts. Tribunal set up in 93-94 period, 15 years of existence, even more until today, and we are now in the final phase of the tribunal's existence. So I would say a few words on where are we with the ongoing trials, where are we with the remaining fugitives, because there are still 2 people at large, and how are we organizing our work with the regional prosecution offices, because in the meantime, which was difficult to imagine 15 years ago, it's a reality today, war crimes offices in Serbia, in Croatia, and in Bosnia. So where are we with our trials? The tribunal has in total indicted 161 persons. Out of those 161 initiated cases, there are still 9 ongoing, 9 cases with 18 accused, which are still ongoing in The Hague. Our current timeline is that we have to finish all trials by 2013. So out of the 3 trials, 9 trials, 3 will finish this year, 3 next year, and 3 probably afterwards. We have an extremely important decision coming out in The Hague at the ICTY in June. It was the Popovic et al. Decision. I speak here about 7 important representatives from the military and the police who were convicted for perpetration of the massacres also in Srebrenica. You have for sure heard about the massacre in Srebrenica 15 years ago exactly, where among many other times 8,000 mass men, boys and men were executed by Serbs. Important decision this summer, which is one of several decisions, but important in this sense that out of the 7, all 7 were convicted, but 2 were convicted for genocide and 1 for aiding and abetting genocide. It's important because you are still in the former Yugoslavia, especially in the Republika Srpska, people who are saying that no genocide has been committed. So there are still people doubting, having revisionist theories. Therefore, it is very important that, again, a decision is coming out from our tribunal saying very clearly that genocide has been committed. Among the cases which are ongoing, the one you have certainly heard about is the Karadzic trial. Karadzic was arrested 2 years ago after having been on the run for 30 years. His trial, after some difficulties at the beginning, is now ongoing. It's going okay, but it's relatively slow. So we had initially planned that it would be a trial of 2 years. Defense case followed, the prosecution case followed by the defense case, judgment writing, and now it looks that it probably will be closer to 2.5 or 3 years because the accused representing himself is using a lot of time for cross-examinations. So we will have probably some delays in this regard. Our main priority, in addition to making sure that those trials are going on, is to search for fugitives. My colleague from ICTY will for sure speak also about the problem in relation to fugitives because there is a more important number, but we have still 2 fugitives at large, Mladic and Hadžić. The name of General Mladic probably must be known to you. If Karadzic was the architect, the political mastermind of the genocide in Srebrenica, General Mladic was the chief commander implementing the military orders. So he is on the run for many years. You have perhaps heard that a few months ago his diaries or his notebooks were found during a search operation. Very interesting evidence which has been brought to the tribunal. 3,500 pages of personal notes by Mladic covering important parts of the war period, and more than 100 taped conversations, phone conversations, meetings between him and other officials or representatives of the international community, all being very interesting new evidence we have received this year. We are working with the Serbian, Bosnian, and Croatian authorities in relation to the fugitives. So, of course, the most important role to be played by the Serbian authorities. We strongly believe that he is in Serbia or in the border regions of countries surrounding Serbia. We have made the experience here that the most important factor is the political pressure put on countries in the region by the international community. Men mentioned it very strongly this morning that, you know, it's great to have an international legal framework, it's great to have tribunals, but somebody has to implement international arrest warrants, which for sure will be one of the issues Fatih will speak about. So it's also our problem that it is necessary that the international community puts pressure, creates incentives of countries in the former Yugoslavia to have the remaining fugitives arrested. Today, in Serbia, for example, still 65% of the population are against the arrest and transfer of General Mladic, considering him more a hero than a war criminal, which I think is a big challenge still for all of us, international justice representatives, international community, NGOs, and political responsible, to explain to citizens there that those are not heroes. They are responsible for the suffering of their own people, and they are responsible, therefore, that Serbia, Croatia, and other countries are not yet members of the European Union. So, what we are doing on each occasion, regularly in Brussels or in New York or in Washington or in other capitals, to really make sure and to ask countries to support the tribunals. There is sometimes the tendency to think, all this is 15 years old, let's move on, let's take those countries into the international community, where we are saying that there can be no compromise on fight against impunity, there can be no alternative to the rest of the fugitives. That's also one of the reasons why the Security Council has decided to create a residual mechanism. As I said, the tribunal, our tribunal as others, will close their doors in 2-3 years' time. We hope, of course, that by then the remaining fugitives are arrested. And we are reminding the political international community every day, every week, that it's their responsibility, it's their credibility which is at stake. Because if they cannot arrest those fugitives, I think it's really a failure from a political side. But if ever the fugitives are not arrested before the closure of the tribunal, there must be a solution. The solution is a residual mechanism. It's a mechanism which will deal with some remaining issues, requests for assistance, early release, etc., coming from the region, but will also have a kind of dormant tribunal component to be activated once one of the fugitives is arrested. And we believe that the Security Council is giving a quite strong signal by creating this residual mechanism, giving a message very clearly that whenever and wherever the fugitives are arrested, there will be an international mechanism dealing with their trial. Third element, and then I end my short introduction, is in relation to cooperation with the region. We always make the appeal to the international community to make sure that there are investments made in capacity building in the region, that there is international support, because at the end of the day, the success of the tribunal for the former Yugoslavia will also depend on how national jurisdictions will, after the closure of the tribunal, deal with the remaining cases. Only if there is a continued fight against impunity also in the domestic jurisdictions can we say that the objectives have been achieved. In order to facilitate this development, we have strong working relations with those workers' prosecution offices. We have given them remote electronic access to our open databases, and since last year we integrated liaison prosecutors from those two countries into our office, and we are extremely pleased with this development. We strongly believe that investing in those new generations of lawyers, and we have currently 15 of them in our office, 3 as liaison prosecutors and 10 as legal interns working our teams, that this is providing quite important added value from our side. We strongly believe that at the end of the day, the success will depend on what local prosecutors are doing, and we are at the International Tribunal very much involved in this form of positive complementarity. Thank you very much.